Welcome to the Buick Outdoors Podcast. I'm your host, Sheldon, and on this podcast, we dive deep into the outdoors. We discuss hunting and fishing techniques, give you tips and tricks, tell stories, and everything in between to help you enjoy the outdoors. This podcast is brought to you by Northbound Gear. Northbound Gear is designed for maneuverability and durability and is made to last through even the toughest of elements. My go-to for their pants is the water resistance adventure pants and their lined waterproof jeans. I've worn them while out ice fishing, crawling through the woods bear hunting, and on the west coast out on the boat. And I even wear them around when I'm having a lazy day at the house. They are that comfortable. They also offer jackets, summer pants, backpacks, and many more. Men's and women's sizes are available, and by partnering with One Tree Planted, you're planting a tree with every purchase. Check them out for yourself at northboundgear.co, and when you use my promo code Sheldon15 at checkout, you'll receive 15% off your order. That's northboundgear.co and promo code Sheldon15. Hey everyone, welcome back to another Buick Outdoors podcast. If you're new here, I'm your host Sheldon, and before we get into this, if you're watching this on YouTube and you want to listen to this on the go, if you search us up on pretty well all major podcast platforms, just search the Buick Outdoors Podcast. You'll find us on there. Also, if you're just listening to this and you want to watch the video version, head over to our YouTube channel and check out our playlist, podcast playlist, and you'll find all of our podcasts on there. And so with that all out of the way, let's get into it. Today we're going to be talking about the upcoming bear season. It's one of my most favorite time of the year. You kind of start getting tired of the old man winter kicking around, and it's time for warmer weather and time to go after some bears. Unfortunately for us this year, it's been a very late spring. Just the other day, we had a pretty nasty little snowstorm come through. We ended up getting about 8 inches of snow or so. Parts of the driveway there where the wind kind of hits it, a bunch of wind drifts. There's about a foot of snow in the driveway. But, it warmed right back up to around plus 12, plus 13 for a couple of days. So it pretty well melted everything. And now it's just basically a lake out there now. But, typically at the start of springtime, like the first 2 weeks of April is when you start getting your poplar buds coming out, and that's normally when you start to see bears. Unfortunately this year, it's almost May 1st and the poplars are just starting to bud. I can look outside my window here and on all my birch trees and poplar trees, there's not really much happening right now. Even like the willows, there's not much for pussy willows growing yet. So the bears are going to be coming out slightly later this year. But for me, it doesn't really matter because I took time off at the end of May going into June. So the last 2 weeks of May and the first week of June, I have booked off for bear camp. So that's I'm always looking forward to bear camp. And also too, during that time, the ditches will have a bunch of grass on them. The clovers will be growing. A lot of the pipelines that we hunt will be nice and green. Also, when you start getting into June is when all the dandelions really start to come out. Either in the ditches or on some of the south-facing hills and stuff like that. You'll find the bears just thrive on dandelions. There's something about the flowers and stuff. They just absolutely love them. If you are going to be hunting bears in dandelions though, it's one of those hunts where it's better to sleep in, to be honest with you, because once the sun goes down, the dandelions, they kind of close up, and then once the sun comes up and you get some heat, then they open up, and then when they're opened up, that's when the bears come out and start chewing on them. So it's a nice little relaxing hunt that you can do in the springtime. During that time there too, once all the ditches are nice and green, the pipelines are green, the dandelions are out, there is bears just all over the country out here where I hunt them. And it's an excellent opportunity for beginners or people with kind of mobility issues. If you're an older fella, or you have a disability or something like that, you don't have to hike and you don't have to do a bunch of walking for bears. Honestly, all of the bears I've shot have been pretty well just spot and stalk from the road. Uh, you drive around, you see a bear, you get out, you try to walk up to it, and if they take off, well, it's not really a big deal. And that's why it's such a good opportunity for beginners too. It's not like moose hunting where you might see one or two legal moose in an entire season, and if you screw it up, that's your hunt. Where with the bears in the springtime, they're all over the place, mainly because the main food sources are on the roads and in the ditches and on the wide open pipelines, and around small ponds and stuff like that. They're actually a very easy animal to hunt, and you have so many opportunities to see one, to put a stalk on them, and then also it makes it so you can kind of learn and teach yourself on the do's and don'ts of stalking a bear, because you learn pretty quick if you're paying attention. If you screw it up, it's because the wind moved, or you had the sun in your face, kind of a thing. And again, when bears are out like this in the springtime, if you screw one up, it's not a big deal. Like where I hunt, some years you can mess up your bear stalk, you get back into the truck, you drive 200-300 yards, and you start all over again. Like there are so many bears in this area, depending on the year. Some years it takes a little bit of work to get your bears, but I don't think I've ever gone a year where I haven't been able to shoot 2 bears. And like that's even pushing it. Like there's times where I could have easily shot like 6 or 7 bears in a day. So I really like to kind of stretch things out. The first bear that I typically shoot, it's kind of the first one that comes around. And then after that, I take my time. I can be picky. I can use one of my oddball guns. Last year I used my 16 gauge shotgun. I've used my bow before. I have something coming in the mail. Hopefully it comes in on time, and if that thing comes in, that's gonna be an experience. We'll say that. You kind of have to be a little half crazy to do what I'm gonna be doing if it comes in on time, and I don't really want to get my hopes up, because it is, with all the shipping shortages and stuff like that going on right now. I'm trying to stay hopeful, but I'm not getting my hopes up, kind of a thing. So I also don't really want to tell you guys exactly what's coming my way, but it's going to be pretty interesting. If I don't get to use it this spring, I'll definitely get to use it next spring, or potentially even this fall, maybe on a deer hunt or something like that, just to get it out and to use it. And yeah, that's something that I'm looking forward to. It's going to be the first thing that has been shipped to me, kind of like a sponsorship deal, but not really. Basically, they're going to be sending me something to make some content with, and we're just going to leave it at that. And I'll let your guys' imagination kind of go wild with it, and keep you guessing for a little bit. One thing that I hear quite a bit when it comes to people hunting bears, whether it's beginners or people that have hunted for years, is that it can be a bit intimidating, whether it's the hunting aspect of it or the cooking side. And with those people, I just tell them, don't overthink it. 1, you're hunting an animal. 2, you're cooking meat. If you keep it nice and simple like that, you're not going to have any issues whatsoever. When it comes to cooking it, bears do have the potential of having trichinosis, and it's a worm that's the egg sac is in the meat, and the only way that it can develop is if it makes its way into your stomach. And then basically from what I've read about it is your stomach acid actually breaks down the egg sac, and then the worm is able to come out, and then it migrates kind of all throughout your body basically, and it gives you some terrible muscle aches and pains and stuff. And you can get rid of it. Basically, the doctors give you a dewormer kind of a thing, but it doesn't exactly get rid of the worms. What ends up happening is the worms stay in your body the same as it stays in a bear's body, where the worms and the sacs stay in your meat, but then it kind of puts them into a dormant stage to where they're no longer kind of reproducing and moving around, but the sacs are throughout your body in the meat. And then basically you have worms for the rest of your life, kind of a thing. It sounds scary and intimidating, but if you just cook your meat to 160 degrees Fahrenheit, it kills all of the trichinosis. And also, out of all the bears that I've butchered and ate and stuff, I've never seen the parasite or the egg sac. So I mean, it's got to be like a microscopic level. But if it does get into your system, it can cause some discomfort. Old Steve Ranella, if you guys watch Meat Eater, he had trichinosis. I think on his YouTube channel there, you can find one of his videos telling you how he got it and what it felt like. And I don't really want to have that happen to me. So what I do is I just cook it like any other piece of meat, basically, except I use a meat thermometer. When you think you're sitting at well done, take a meat thermometer, shove it in there. Those little instant read ones, or the ones with the little turn dial kind of a thing. You can pick them up fairly cheap, between $20 and $50 kind of a thing. As long as it says 160 degrees, and I think it has to sit there for, 160 degrees for 5 minutes or something like that is what'll kill it. So basically, cook your roast. When it says 160, pull it out. You want to let your meat rest anyways. So as it rests, it's going to continue to cook slightly more anyways too. And by the time you slice into it, it's been at 160 for 5 minutes. Everything's dead, you're good to go, and it makes phenomenal roasts. If you ever eat a bear roast and they just treat it like a beef, man, it comes out phenomenal. It tastes just like a mixture of kind of a beef and moose kind of a thing. It's a really, really nice meaty flavor, but there's a little bit of a wild aspect to it, and it's just amazing meat. For me, the majority of my bears, they're turned into either roasts or I take them to a butcher. I also do it myself and turn into sausages and smokies. And again, if you have a good butcher, as they're running the smokies to the smoker, before they take them out, they take a meat thermometer and they check several of them, make sure they're all at 160. They get the green light, they come off the hook, they get chilled, vacuum wrapped, and into the freezer. Now you're good to go. And then, when it comes to hunting them, really, if you're concerned about it, just use a big caliber. And I'm not talking like Ultra Mags or anything like that. A 30-06, 300. I would say 7mm, but I had some bad luck with my 7mm when it comes to bears for some reason. It just doesn't seem to do the job that good. I have killed a lot of bears with the 7mm, but if I had to take one gun, it would be my 300 or my 30-06. I don't know. There's something about a 7mm that just doesn't seem to quite do the job as good as the other calibers. With that being said, though, the biggest bear that I've ever killed is with my 223. And that was Well, that one was more of a fluke house luck, because that was like, I think April 6th or 7th, something like that. Like, bear season just started. There was still a bunch of snow, but for some reason that year there's a bunch of poplar buds growing, and I was packing my 223 in case I seen a coyote or wolf on my way into town, and happened to see this big bear on the top of a poplar tree eating all the buds. So I got underneath him, poked him in the neck, down he came, and the rest is history. That was a monstrous bear. That one, what I should have done was got that one scored, but I didn't. Looking at Boone and Crockett Club, I think it has to be 19 inches or so to make the book, and that one was right around 21 inches, so it definitely would have been like a record book bear, but I didn't get him scored or anything like that. I did clean up his skull, and it's hanging out in the kitchen there up on the one corner pedestal there, and yeah, that's that for that bear. But yeah, I mean, when it comes to your calibers and guns and all that stuff, really, as long as you have a good bullet that penetrates very well and you get a double lung shot, the bear's gonna die just as easy as a white-tailed doe that gets shot with double lung. If you blow out the lungs, you're not gonna live very long, right? So as long as you kind of have that mentality when it comes to bears, see them as a target and wait till they're broadside, and just, you're hunting an animal. You're not hunting a big black bear with teeth and claws and all that stuff. Just get that out of your head and just focus on you're hunting an animal. As long as you're able to focus on you are just hunting an animal and you're hunting for food, all the rest of the worries and whatever it is that you have going on, anxiety and stuff, it just goes out the window, and you won't have any problems whatsoever. One thing that I will say though, when you are bear hunting, is after you've shot a bear, make sure you bring bear protection with you. If you double lung a bear, they're gonna die just as easy and just as fast as a double lung white-tailed doe. However, if you do make a bad shot or you have terrible bullets, like if you're using that blue box cheapo ammo, good luck. But bring actual real bear protection with you. For me, it's a 45-70. Some people, it's like the 450 Marlin, a 375 Ruger, 12 gauge shotgun with slugs, something like that, where it's actually going to do something to the bear if they happen to get up. And if they're a mad bear that you just kind of winged, they're not going to be very pleasant to walk up on. Last year I had one after I smoked them with the 7mm. That wasn't good. We went in there with guns and the dogs. That bear got up about an hour after I shot him, and he took off after me and the dogs. Luckily, he turned and headed off into the trees, and we never did find that bear.
Back up, back. Come here.
But if he did come at us any closer, he would have got smoked. So, make sure you bring real bear protection, whether it's another rifle, a friend with another gun, even bear spray. I wouldn't really trust it 100%, but at least with bear spray, it'll do something to the bear. Don't be like those city slicker guys where they think that a bell hooked onto you or a whistle is going to protect you. When it comes to hiking and stuff, sure, it makes noise, it lets animals know that you're in the area, but when you're going after a wounded bear, you need something that's going to hurt the bear or kill the bear. A whistle or a bell is just letting the bear know which direction to run. You know what I mean? So, yeah, always bring bear protection with you when you're hunting bears. And a lot of times too, if you're hunting a bear with a 300, after you shoot him, go in the bush with your 300. It's gonna do the job. Some days the bears take more than one shot because they are pretty tough animals, and if you are off your mark a little bit, they're tough as nails. But if you double lung them, or one way that some people say is in the middle of the middle. So if you have a bear that's broadside, you make a horizontal line in the middle of the bear, and you make a vertical line in the middle of the bear. Where those lines cross, it looks like it's very far back, and compared to like a normal animal, like a deer or an elk or a moose, it is far back. But for a bear, because of the way that their body is kind of set up, whatever, their lungs and stuff are slightly back. So when you shoot in the middle of the middle, you're gonna hit their lungs. You might nick some guts if you go a little too far back, but it's gonna kill them. A lot of times with bears, just the way that their bodies are made up, if you smoke them like dead on in the shoulder, what's gonna end up happening is that all that energy that comes from your bullet, it's gonna hit, and it just kind of like disperses throughout the body. And a lot of times too, like for some reason, I don't know if it's their hide, their fat, their meat, a combination of all three, or it's just because of how their body is kind of connected, kind of a thing. I've heard of some people where they've shot a bear in the shoulder and it didn't even penetrate the collarbone. It went in that few inches, hit the bone, embedded in the bone, and that was as far as it went. So when you're hunting bears, just make sure you have a good gun that you're accurate with, good bullets, Nosler, Federals, anything with like partition bullets, bonded bullets, anything like that, they're gonna work really well. The Federal blue box stuff, don't waste your time with that. But Federal, if you do want cheaper stuff, they do make premium with Nosler partitions loaded in them. They're not quite as expensive as like the actual Nosler bullets, but they are a bit pricey. I just bought some for my 300. This year I'm going to be trying Barnes Triple Shock again, and they were, I think, $80, and that's for 300 Win Mag. And unfortunately, right now this year too, ammo was getting extremely hard to come by. I didn't think it was going to be that bad, but I couldn't find 180 grain bullets for my 300, so I had to settle for 165 grain Barnes Triple Shock. So we'll see how well they work. I know with the 165s compared to the 180s, you have less energy coming from it, but you have more speed, and it should be a little more penetration with the full copper bullets. So we'll see how they pan out. Worst case scenario, I am shooting a 300. So the 165, it'll absolutely do the job, but I would much rather have the 180s. But whatever. We're gonna work with what we got, kind of a thing. It's still gonna be more than enough to get the job done. With me taking off 3 weeks in May and going into June too, we'll be heading out to our annual bear camp now. Ever since starting bear camp, it has, it first started out as just me, myself, and I. It was a very solo trip. Back then, I didn't do any filming or anything like that for YouTube. Didn't have the podcast, nothing like that. And it was just a way for me to get out in the woods for 3 weeks in a holiday trailer and just do a bunch of hunting, sitting around by the fire and just sitting back and relaxing. Where now things have changed quite a bit. If you guys want to watch all of our hunts and stuff, just head over to our YouTube channel, and if you subscribe to the channel, hit the little bell notification and stuff. It'll let you know every time that we upload a new video. And coming up here real soon is going to be pretty well almost nothing but bear hunting videos for the next, I'd say about the next month or so. Kind of depending on how many people want to be filmed and all that stuff. For me, uh, I'll have 2 hunts filmed. Pretty sure my brother's going to come out and his hunt will be filmed. If he has 2 bear tags, the heck with it. We'll do 2 hunts with him, so that's 4. Shelby might be getting a bear tag, so that'll be 5. My dad's going to come out. And that's... It's exciting for me because I get to film it, and then these guys, they also get to kind of look back and watch their hunts pretty well whenever they want, because it's going to be up on YouTube and all that good stuff. But also it's a nice little treat to see like how far bear camp has come. It used to be, like I said, just me and myself and the dogs going out, and now friends and family come out. We do a bunch of hunting together. We do a bunch of cooking. Everybody sits around the campfire at night, and it has slowly turned into like an annual get together. I take people out bear hunting, or if they don't hunt and they just want to see bears, bring your camera out. We go out and we do, I guess you call it like a bear safari kind of a thing. Just drive out, look at all the bears, take a bunch of pictures, do kind of like a mock spot and stalk kind of a thing, but instead of shooting them at the end, you get them with your camera, and that's always a blast to do that. Also, while people are out, a lot of them are people that they're either hunters and they've never had bear, or they're just kind of city slickers that just want to kind of get out into the woods for the weekend kind of a thing. And a lot of times at bear camp is the first time they've ever had bear meat. And it's pretty cool when you can bring people out, you cook them up a bear roast, or you cook them up some like jalapeno cheddar smokies kind of a thing that we get done at Stan's Custom Meats out in Fort St. John here. And it's pretty cool just seeing them, like the look on their face when they first dig into something. They go, "You sure that's bear?" It's like, yeah, pretty sure that's bear. He's, the other half of them still hanging up in the cooler over there. And it's pretty neat. Just getting more people involved in the outdoors, and then especially like in bear hunting itself. For my dad, it took him quite a few years and eating from several different black bears that I've shot over the years for him to finally realize that black bears aren't just dumpster divers and garbage bears kind of a thing. Now he comes out pretty well every year, buys his 1 or 2 bear tags, comes out, shoots a bear, turns them all into smokies and sausages and pepperoni, and now like him and my brother, both when it comes to like January or February, we'll be out ice fishing somewhere, and pretty soon the topic of bear camp comes up because it's, you're starting to see the end of the tunnel come February, and like, so you doing bear camp again this year? Where are you going? What time of year? Who's all going out? And you can see that even those guys are starting to get excited. So it's pretty neat to see how far everything is coming, especially with my brother. For a few years there, he was mainly focused on just kind of work and then travel. He'd come on days off and he'd be going to China, Thailand, Mexico, wherever, and he was just enjoying life. But now he's kind of coming back to his roots and starting to head out hunting and fishing more. So it's I'm so excited to have Blaine out there in bear camp too. This year, I'm hoping he spends a little bit more time out there, but it all depends with work. We both work in the oil and gas industry. For me, I'm on a set schedule, doing a week on, week off. So for me, I'm able to plan for this sort of thing very easily. Where with Blaine, his his schedule is quite a bit different. He might work for a month, get 2 days off, and then back out for a month, kind of thing. Or he might work for a week and then get 2 months off. You never really know. So he has to be a bit conservative with how he spends his time and money and stuff like that. But also, he enjoys hunting and coming out and spending time with us in the holiday trailer. Brings his dog out. Dogs run around like a pair of knuckleheads. And then, in the evening, we sit around the campfire. During the day, we go out hunting. And, it's nice to see Blaine is getting back into it. But, we're slowly ramping up here for bear season. Next week, I'm going to be getting the holiday trailer ready. You got to fill up propane tanks, get some decals put on her, make sure my batteries are good. If they're fried, I got to replace those. And then pretty well plug her in, make sure everything works good, fill her up with water, flush all the lines, all that good stuff. And then we're pretty well just sitting and waiting. Right now, well, when this podcast comes out, it'll be on Monday. I'll be at work, but it'll be my second last shift. So I got this shift to work. I have a week off, one more shift to work, and then my 3 week start. So it's right there around the corner, and man, I can't wait. I'm just jumping at the gun here, ready to go. I think today, right now, it's Tuesday morning, and on Wednesday here, we're supposed to get another snowstorm, possible rainstorm come in for starting Wednesday, going till Friday. So that's gonna kind of slow things down slightly, but once that's done, hopefully that's the last snowstorm of the season, other than like our typical May long weekend snowstorm. But whatever, it'll be a good time to take a day off hunting and just relax on May long weekend, I guess, maybe, if that happens. But things are slowly getting warmer. Next week here, I'll be getting the holiday trailer ready, and then I'll also be tapping birch trees and making some birch syrup. Try to do that this week, but being such a late spring, nothing is really blooming right now. No buds are coming out. I'm sure during this week things will start to happen. So on my next days off, we'll be actually able to go out and start tapping trees, collect the sap from the birch, and boil it down to syrup. And then hopefully during bear camp, I'll be able to bring out a jar of homemade birch syrup and make up some pancakes or waffles or French toast or whatever, and serve it up with some homemade syrup, and life will be good. But anyways, guys, I think I'm gonna cut this one short here. Unfortunately, I do have to go back to work, so I'm kind of in a rush here this morning. But anyways, I hope you enjoyed this short little podcast. I hope this gets you fired up for your upcoming bear season. If you haven't hunted bears before, please don't hesitate to try it. It's not nearly as scary or as intimidating as you might think. After all, you're hunting an animal and you're cooking meat. Also, it gets you outside, gets rid of the winter blues, go sit around a campfire at night, hunt bears during the day, and enjoy some absolutely amazing meat. Anyways, guys, I hope you liked this podcast. If you did, give the video a thumbs up, hit the like button down in the corner, leave us a comment or two. Let us know how your bear season is going or what your plans are for this season. And if you're just listening to this on a podcast, give us a little rating. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to us. And make sure you head over to our YouTube channel as well. Subscribe to that so you don't miss out on any of our upcoming videos. And we'll catch you on the next one.